Good evening, Councillor Shetterly. I would now like to call to order the Tuesday, October 1st meeting of the Monmouth City Council and ask our city recorder, Phyllis Woolman, for the roll call, please. Councillor Belts? Here. Councillor Carey?
Here.
Councillor Lopez? Councillor McKeel? Here. Councillor Oberst?
Here.
Councillor Salinas Oliveros?
Here.
Mayor Coons. I am present. And Councillor Lopez, would you please lead us in the flag salute this evening? That does bring us to our consent calendar, and this evening, included in your packet were the minutes of the meeting of September 17th. Any additions, corrections?
Madam Mayor, I would like to motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor McKeel, for the motion and Councillor Lopez for the second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Great, thank you, and thank you for that. We'll put those into the record. At this time, we do have an opportunity for public comment. We are limiting our comments tonight to 3 minutes, as is our custom. We'll call individuals up to the table, ask you to introduce yourselves, the city where you live, and you have a little timer here, I think.
Yeah.
Have it. Yeah. All right, thank you. Susanna Knight, if you'd like to come forward, introduce yourself and press the button on the microphone. The red light means it's on.
Wow, that's working. Hi, I'm Susanna Knight. I live here in Monmouth at 237 Marcourt. I've lived in my house for 34 years, and a couple not so happy things have happened since I've lived there, including the building of a 3-story apartment behind our house, over which the neighborhood never felt they had fair put in about. Now, the homeless shelter is looking to come into our backyard again. And I want to be sure we have something to say early in the process. So if you tell me you had the chance, I can say I did come. So I guess I did get my chance this time. So there's 2 things I want to tell you right now. Initially, the neighborhood understood there were supposed to be maybe 15 people in the house. The architect came through and decided there could be 10 bedrooms in there. So now it looks like there'll be 20 people in this facility. For each person, they're allowed to have 2 animals. If 20 people are in there and they each have 2 animals, that means there'll be 40 cats and dogs in this facility. Now, if you haven't driven by it yet, I would ask that you do that because there's no yard. All there is a pergola where they can sit out under the pergola, and the rest of the lot is black pavement. So my question is, where do these cats poop, and where do the cats dig into flower beds? And I'll tell you right now, I have a neighbor that brought 2 cats in, and they're in my yard all the time. So if they have 20 cats down there, I wonder how many of those cats will choose to be in my yard, and I won't be very happy. So where they're going to go is over to Western Oregon, and they're going to poop on the throws, and they're going to pee in the shot put, and they're going to poop on the football field and everywhere else. So what that's going to lead to is the facility will be locked down and it won't be open to the public anymore. And I think that'd be a really sad thing for our community because a lot of people go over there and use that facility a lot. The other thing, what about drugs? Be sure that you know if they're going to be vetted or not for drugs. Because if they aren't, I'll tell you where they're going to be. They're going to be up in the stadium and their trash is going to be all over up there. And the next thing you know, all of that has to be cleaned up. All the poop has to be cleaned up. How does Western afford that? I'm hearing that enrollment is down again this year. So there's not going to be any money for extra things over there to clean up that kind of stuff. And the third thing I want to say is my husband was the track coach there. And if he ever had a girl that came and her parents brought them over to see the stadium and they saw a homeless shelter, I don't think they would have been on my husband's track team. So there's going to be a lot of consequences if that facility goes in there. And right now it looks like it's just a dead spot, but a lot will happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you. And Bill Foster?
Good evening. As you all know, I'm Bill Foster. I came here tonight to
And your city of residence, please.
Independence. Came here tonight to thank you for your support for Music in the Park for the last 15 years. We've only done 14 series because we lost one during COVID, but for 14 years, the city has supported us, and we really appreciate that. Due to your support and the support of the community businesses this year, we probably had the best time, best group. Suzanne did an excellent job of getting the bands to come in. And since it appears right now we're the last free concerts, because everybody else seems to be charging to get into their high-priced bands. So that's beginning to draw from outside. We're taking a little bit more activity into advertising outside the city. So we're beginning to bring a lot of people to the community that, well, I hadn't seen, and I walked the crowd, as if you come, you'll know, I walked the crowd quite a bit. And there's been a lot of people in there that I haven't seen. Some of them, we've had them come, we've had people from Eugene up here. Now I realize some of those follow their bands, but still, and of course, we've always get them out of Portland. Salem is, they come, Dallas. But it's been a really good year. We really appreciate it. So looking forward to next year. And with that, again, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. I'm sure we're all looking forward to next year, especially if we get to continue to see you there. So can you please turn off the mic for
I
us?
can do that.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I know it. That's bad. Thanks. All right. And that takes, were there any other additional comments submitted ahead of time? Thank you, Phyllis.
Mayor.
Thanks. That takes us into our regular meeting, and I would like to start off by recognizing an upcoming event, and our director of our Power and Light Department is here this evening, so we can celebrate Wade Carey and all of the members of that department as we recognize next week as Public Power Week. I would like to enter into the record a proclamation. Whereas we, the citizens of Monmouth, Oregon, place a high value on local choice over community services, and therefore have chosen to operate a community-owned, not-for-profit electric utility, and as customers and owners of our electric utility have a direct say in utility operations and policies. And whereas Monmouth Power and Light provides our homes, businesses, schools, and social service and local government agencies with reliable, efficient, and safe electricity, employing sound business practices designed to ensure the best possible service at not-for-profit rates. Whereas Monmouth Power and Light is a valuable community asset that contributes to the well-being of local citizens through energy efficiency, customer service, environmental protection, economic development, and safety awareness. Whereas Monmouth Power and Light is a dependable and trustworthy institution whose local operation provides many consumer protections and continues to make our community a better place to live and work, and contributes to protecting the global environment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Monmouth Power and Light will continue to work to bring low-cost, safe, reliable, and sustainable electricity to community homes and businesses, just as it has since 1940, the year when the utility was created to serve all the citizens of Monmouth. Be it further resolved that the week of October 6th through 12th be designated Public Power Week to recognize the immense sense of pride in Monmouth Power and Light and the contributions to the community to educate customers, policymakers, and employees on the benefits of public power. And be it further resolved that our community joins hands with approximately 2,000 other public power systems in the United States in this celebration of public power, which puts our residents, businesses, and the community before profits. We shall sign this first day of October 2024 and look forward to a lot of fun activities, actually, open houses. We'll hear a little bit more about all the goings on to celebrate Public Power Week. Yay! And that brings us to our business agenda tonight. Should be a quick one this evening, folks. I'll first invite Sergeant Strack up to talk to us about a new OLCC license.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. I am Sergeant Mike Strack, and I am the Detective Supervisor for your police department. And today I have for you a OLCC liquor license for Kindy Thai Eatery. So as you guys know, Kindy Thai has been an established business now for quite some time, and if you haven't been there, delicious. Owners are super awesome to talk to, by the way. But they have made the decision that they would like to get an application for full on-premise liquor license sales. They're looking to begin selling malt beverages, wines, cider, distilled spirits to accompany their delicious food menu. So I conducted my background investigation as I do with all of these, and there's no areas of concern noted for the owners of the business or the business itself. So as you guys know, your options, you can make a recommendation in favor or against, or make no recommendation at all. But it is the staff's suggestion to recommend in favor of the OLCC license.
Councillor McKeel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to make a recommendation to OLCC in favor of approving a liquor license for Kindy Thai Eatery.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor McKeel, for the motion, and Councillor Salinas Oliveros for the second. Any questions? Councillor Carey.
You said it's an on-premises license, that the consumption would be on the premises only?
Mhm.
Because a lot of their is takeout. There would be no takeout
So-
gin and tonics.
So I believe the application itself is for on-premise.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And seeing none opposed, thank you for processing that, and we'll get them going. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
We should have dinner to celebrate.
Yes. We can't wait. And speaking of public power, I would like to invite Director Wade Carey to talk to us about some rate schedule items for Monmouth Power and Light.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. So hopefully you had a chance to read over the staff report. This is mostly just a housekeeping measure. Rate Schedule 5 of Power and Light's rate schedules deal with our security light options. So customers in the past have been able to request various lighting options at their home or business for the purpose of security lighting, a little like roadway lighting, but specifically for just a property. Power and Light had several different options as far as wattage and the amount of light, and the rate schedule as it was approved last time highlighted that the lighting technology was high pressure sodium. High pressure sodium has been being phased out for a number of years now that LED technology is finally caught up. So what I did here was just remove the mention of the lighting type because we still do have some high pressure sodium units in the field. We still have bulbs for those units. If you look at the rate schedule itself, you can see that we have options for 40,000 lumens, which is quite frankly a great deal of light. And as those fail, as they age out and we no longer have the high pressure bulbs, we will be paring those down to a more simpler option. So if customers need a light source that bright, we're probably not going to be their best option. And that really just comes from the point of when we had fixtures that were relampable with new bulbs, storage was not hard for many different options. Well, with LEDs, when they die, you have to replace whole fixtures. So the idea of having, 6, 7 different light fixtures on stock all the time for probably not a great deal of uptake and usage, we're going to pare that down as those age out. But this first iteration of the change was just to clean it up housekeeping wise, get rid of the HPS mention, get rid of the wattage, and we're just going to start asking customers, how much light do you want? What do you need? And then we can match that to the fixtures that we have available.
All right, any questions? Yes, Councilor Lowe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I applaud the really intentional approach there, asking the customers what their needs are and attempting to cater to those needs. Do they make LED bulbs that are at that highest wattage? And if not, do you anticipate that many customers will actually require that highest, or not wattage, the highest lumen level?
Yes, they make LED lights at 40,000 and plus. They tend to be stadium lights. So now with high pressure sodium, that technology had a pretty high decay in light output as the bulb aged. So while someone may start out with 40,000 lumens, by the time the bulb was dying, they may be down closer to 25, 30,000 lumens. So we can get LED fixtures that are too bright, but for the purpose of security lighting around a home or a business, getting up into the 15, 16,000 lumens is a great deal of light. I mean, to give you an idea, most roadway lighting is only in the 5,000 to 7,000 lumen output, depending on how high up it mounts. So, the fact that we've offered that in the past, and there are some people with those bulbs out there, I think there's only 3 of them at the 40,000 level, but yeah, you can get them that bright.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have 2 follow-ups. My apologies. Do you have an estimate on, and maybe it's in here and I missed it, my apologies, on how many customers this change will impact?
Well, not off the top of my head, I could get you that number, but we did do a lighting audit.
Okay.
And our guys went out and counted. That's what I wanted to know, if we still had all these different lumens out in the field, and we do.
Oh.
And we still have a small supply of bulbs for them. So, if someone currently has an HPS at 25,000 or 40,000 lumens and their bulb dies, we'll go out and we'll put that back in and we'll continue to build them. But as that stock runs out, we're not going to buy new HPS bulbs. We will start to refixture and give them an option of what we're going to have in stock. We're going to keep a 5,000 lumen lamp, a 9,000 lumen lamp, a 13,000 lumen lamp, and maybe something in the 16 to 7,000 lumen, to give you an idea of what we're trending toward.
Thank you. That's helpful. My final question, I believe, coincides with that well. Sounds like the lumen output of the lamps that we're planning on deploying is lower a little bit. Are there any other measures built into the technology of the new fixtures that will help to reduce light pollution, right? As we hear more about how, cities can impact the skies and areas around, and I think Ankeny is just north of us, right? And the bird migratory routes. Is there any way to, or have we built into the fixture selection any considerations regarding mitigating light pollution aside from just lowering those lumen levels?
Yes, all of the Cobra head type, which is what you typically see on a roadway, downlight, they will all be dark sky compliant. We will have a floodlight option, which is really good for business to use in a parking lot because you can light a big area without that. Those are not, but that's simply because you don't point them directly down. So I will add that one of the reasons people chose high lumen output with HPS is because HPS is a very poor quality light source for seeing. When you go to an LED and it's a whiter light source, you can actually see better with even less light. So that's one of the reasons why you're starting to see utilities drop these large lumen outputs, because we're putting in better light sources and you don't need as much light.
One more follow-up on that last point, my apologies. When you say that, are you talking about, I guess, the temperature of the light or the CRI, which is the
CRI.
rating? Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah. LED lights, these will all have a CRI above 80. HPS has a CRI of about 35. So in the dark, you can't tell the difference between a blue, red, or black car. And so with the LED light source with a high CRI, you can do that regardless of the color temperature. We will be buying 3,000 Kelvin temperatures or depending on what's available at what we're looking for, but we will stay below 4,000 because studies have shown that light sources above 4,000 K impact people's sleep patterns.
Thank you. I appreciate you answering all my technical questions. I'm a bit of a lighting nerd myself, and so, excited to see us move in this direction.
Okay, thank you.
That was good. My question was about our own street lighting, the newest generation that we have deployed, and what lumens those are at. So,
Those are about 3,600. So they are too low, in my opinion. We will be replacing those with a 9,000 lumen option in most instances. The past, when they swapped out and went from the HPS, I don't know why they chose that fixture. It's been deployed throughout the city, and in my opinion, it's not enough light. Some neighborhoods may only need 5,000, some may need the 9,000, but we're gonna do our best to get the light what it needs to be in certain areas. So, but right now, it would be very costly to go out and just start swapping out these Cobra heads before they fail. So as they fail, they will go to a newer, brighter source.
great. And Councilor McKeel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm wondering who owns the street lights? So is that our neighbors paying for the street lights? How are they going to fall into this schedule fee?
No. The streetlights are paid for by the city.
Okay,
Monmouth Power and Light owns and maintains them. The city pays for the electrical use and the maintenance and upkeep. And that's a pretty standard agreement for even cities that don't have a utility. Because cities don't have the infrastructure, the crews. You have to do street lighting, you have to have a qualified lineman to do it, and most cities don't. Fortunately, we do, but the city does pay for those lights.
I noticed that some of the streets are maybe missing some street light poles, like College is kind of dark.
Mhm.
Is that, do you have a plan? And I guess not, I'm sorry, I'm way off of this. I can talk with you later about it.
No, it's, so how the city gets its street lighting doesn't really come from Power and Light. If the city determines that they need more light, then they will request that from us. We will go out and install it, and then we turn that into the finance department. It gets added to the city's monthly bill. So a lot of that's done between Suzanne's department and Russ's department, Public Works and Buildings, and they determine what and where they want the light. We just go and put it up for them.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Barry?
As I was reading through the different schedules, in part of your staff report, I was struck by, in Schedule 4, which is the street lights and may have to do with parks and that sort of thing. That's the highest rate, that's the highest per kilowatt hour rate, I think. I'm not questioning that. I'm just wondering how you determine the cost of a kilowatt hour and, with a public consumer here.
That's the 17.31 cents per kilowatt hour for street lighting factors in the purchase of the light, the energy that the fixture consumes, and then any maintenance it needs. So once the city requests a light, we go out and install it. If it needs a pole, we put in a pole and all of that, and that's factored into that rate. Sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Overs?
Just a little bit of history. We had not LED streetlights forever. I was advocating to switch to LEDs. They're not ready for prime time, was what I heard. And then all of a sudden they were. And I think part of why we have less bright than they might otherwise be was we were trying to do it on the cheap, because we were doing every fixture in the city in one go. So it wouldn't surprise me if that was part of the thinking.
I'm sure if you were to refixture the entire city, an LED fixture is about 3 times the cost of an old HPS fixture or whatnot. So yeah, there was some Bonneville incentive money when that happened, and the wattage of those fixtures may have played into that to get a decent rebate to help with the cost. But yeah, they're a little underperforming. The good thing about LED is the light output does not diminish as severely over the life of the fixture as the other technologies. So.
All right, there is a motion in the packet.
I move to approve resolution number 1999, a resolution setting rates and charges for electric utility services and repealing resolution number 1988.
I'll second that.
I would second that.
Thank you, Counselor McKeel or Counselor Salinas Oliveros for the motion, and Counselor McKeel, who got the second in first. And seeing no other comments or questions, I will ask Phyllis for the roll call, please.
Counselor Lopez,
Yay.
Counselor Salinas Oliveros,
Aye.
Counselor Oberst,
Yes.
Counselor Belts,
Aye.
Counselor Carey,
Aye.
Counselor McKeel.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Wade, for coming in and looking at every single thing like this. I mean, you've made a lot of changes, a lot of improvements. You're catching a lot of maybe outdated things that we've done in this department, kind of let them we've always gone along, and I really appreciate you really diving in and taking these looks.
Well, thank you. That's what the job's all about. So.
Yay, and you reach your power.
Thank you.
And I would also like to say, I'm sure part of our city manager's report might be that we did have a very unusual power outage last week, particularly unusual for Monmouth Power and Light. Why don't you go ahead and address that while you're here, even though I'm sure she has comments on that.
Sure. The power outage last week was caused by a lightning strike. So our distribution system took a direct lightning strike. And when that happens, it really wreaks havoc on the system. We did end up losing 3 separate lightning arresters on the system, which they do their job. But when they do their job, they're just like a surge suppressor at home. They're no longer any good. But, it's pretty rare to take a lightning strike to the system, but it does happen. And unfortunately, we were able to get the crews on it really quick to identify where it happened and get all the necessary repairs in a pretty timely manner.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about the communication. I don't know if others had comments or observations about that. That's clearly the big thing, right? What's going on, what happened. And Also, as I pointed out in my last mayor's notes, people think it's a transistor blowing or a transformer blowing, and it's not a transformer blowing. So that was one thing we cleared up. So
Almost never a transformer, but it's almost always reported as a transformer.
I heard a big pop. It was a transformer. I've learned it's not. Councilor Selena Silver.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to thank you for the quick communication, and it was really flawless. It was seamless. I'm proud to say I am a parent of a child who's in the school district, and Parent Square was right on it. And you know what? The kids didn't even miss a beat. Like, she was like, yeah, it happened. It was fine. Like, it was not a big deal. So, so well done. It was really seamless, and thank you for your work on that.
Well, thank you. Saber had a good big part in it being, I mean, she was on the road and I was calling her and she was like, next time I have a chance to pull over, I'll input it. So it worked pretty well. It's always a little dicey when you try to give an estimate on a repair time, because if you don't make it, and then people are really unhappy, especially businesses, because they try to sort out, should we send people home? Should we close? So, you know, it's really hard, but fortunately we got a pretty decent estimate from our line foreman at what he thought was realistic for restoration, and we were still able to come in under that. So pretty happy.
Councilor Ober's final comment.
I was on the north side of town. My lights went off, on. My son now wants an uninterruptible power supply for his computing work that he does at home. So we'll be doing that. Where was the lightning strike?
It was over on Ackerman. I can't be more specific other than that, but yeah, we lost pretty much what we refer to as the city feeder, which is the entire southwest portion of town. So.
Yeah, east side was pretty good. Didn't have any problems over there. All right, thanks for sticking around.
Thank you.
And our last item of business on the business agenda is an overall fee schedule update. We look each year at the various fees that we have, and it looks like Phyllis Bowman is handling that for us this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're bringing you our fee schedule that we started last year, our comprehensive fee and charges schedule, I should say, that we started last year and has been updated according to mostly the automatic updates that we have depending on the CPI. The staff report lists the places that were changed on there, and I did not give you a red line one. I could have done that. I'll do it next time. Are there any questions?
Councilor Carey.
And thank you for a red line version next time. A number of these were discussed in the budget committee, and a number of the increases that we've had, you know, were set, particularly in power and light and in water, storm, sewer. So that was good, but there was also some references to some other ones, and I couldn't find what was in place and what wasn't. You know, in other words, which of those were new and which of those were sort of the same. So, and none of them are of a substantive nature that I want to delay any of this, but I think it's really helpful for us to do due diligence if we can see from which we are going, and we can see where we're ending with this one, but because it was hard to go back and find it in,
Right.
you know, because I'm not sure when we approved this last year. So I just couldn't find it. So anyway, if you'd make a note from my perspective, that I think it would be helpful.
Well, the three that said they were added are the three new ones. The rest of them were either what we did during the budget season, and then planning has been updated because of the CPI. It's automatically updated every year,
Well,
all the planning fees.
that it's an increase.
Mhm.
And I think we ought to note that. And not that we'd be opposed to it. I certainly wouldn't, but I think we'd want to see that, look at that with our eyes
Sure.
open.
Sure.
You know, again, it's not a substantive deal, it's a presentation deal for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I found this really interesting. Thank you for the fee schedule. I think I particularly like the electric scooter license, initial 2-year license, how much that is, the $500. I thought that was interesting, you know, compared to other things, vacational renters. So no electric scooter in my my near future. But I appreciate you doing this work. It is really interesting. It really shows the fees and the increases. But I did find it as a really interesting read. Thank you for putting this together.
Well, Susie did change the format this year a little bit, so hopefully it's a little easier to read also.
Counselor Oberst and then Counselor Carey.
Clarification on the electric scooter, was that because we had an outfit in town that was renting electric scooters?
Yes, and it's still
So
on.
if I got an electric scooter, I wouldn't have to pay a $500
Yeah,
fee,
yeah, it's still on the books.
nor would your kid.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So now you can have them tearing around town on electric scooters with a clear conscience.
And then sort of to that same sort of a deal, we've got a taxi cab rate. We don't have a taxi cab, which we've noted before.
right.
Has that been adjusted? Should we have a taxi cab company move in? Or is that,
It has not been adjusted.
see, I guess if we're going to keep some of those, we might want to, I mean, it's more
Right.
work, I know, but, and then the thought of, well, do we want to eliminate it?
You're right,
You
and
know.
we haven't had that discussion yet.
Yeah. You know, because otherwise you need to, if somebody does come in,
Right,
you know,
Yeah.
and decide they want it, they're getting it cheap.
they are.
Yeah. Anyway, just another note for the continued improvement that you work on all the time, Phyllis.
Thank you.
I would entertain the motion in the packet.
Well, I'll move
you.
to adopt Resolution 2000, a resolution adopting a fee and charges schedule and repealing Resolution 1981.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Then I'll have Phyllis call the roll, please.
Counselor McKeel,
Yes.
Counselor Salinas Oliveros,
Aye.
Counselor Oberst,
Yes.
Counselor Lopez,
Aye.
Counselor Belts,
Yes.
Counselor Carey.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. All right, we'll get those implemented. And tonight, that brings us to our reports for the mayor's. You know, by the way, you guys, I just found out there's a volume control on the side of these microphones. On your right-hand side, there's a little dial, and it's a volume control. But I don't think it works, or maybe it does. I can't really tell. No change? No change? Oh, is it? Yeah, anyway. But who knew? All right. Some of you were able to make it to the Welcome to My Town, our annual introduction to the new students coming into Western during the week that they come to campus before school starts. And that was held with our sponsorship. Plenty of great business representation there. There was a DJ. If students visit each of the booths from the businesses, the nonprofits, and multiple organizations, and get their little passport stamp, they get some free food. And Green Station was providing that again for us this year, and had a lot of really great participation. Wonderful weather and a good opportunity to welcome the students, as well as to kind of get some of our community businesses and organizations together. So that was a lot of fun. And we'll say probably one of the booths most of us got to enjoy was the Bay House, the new restaurant that's moving in. They had a booth there to welcome themselves to town, and good opportunity to meet the proprietor, hear a lot about the plans that they have as they help move along the restoration of the Ross Theater, where they'll be located as they come to town. But really some exciting stuff there. I also would like to share with the council the, as I report regularly, the Monmouth Independence Community Foundation has a fund in their endowment called the Monmouth Bicentennial Fund. And that is a fund that was started after the Monmouth Sesquicentennial was held, and the funds that were left over were invested so that in the year 2056, that money can be used to help celebrate the Monmouth Bicentennial. The fund started with $2,056. It has been invested by the Community Foundation, and there have been some additional contributions. But that fund, as of the end of June 30th, stands at $7,784. So that is there and available, and we get regular reports. This is my opportunity to plug the Monmouth Independence Community Foundation, which is an organization that has done amazing work in invigorating and guarding philanthropy in our community for various partners, including the Monmouth Library and the Friends of the Monmouth Library. Each have funds there that are for their use and their purpose, both operating and endowment funds. And the Community Foundation will be sending out a solicitation letter to folks in the community and announcing an opportunity to give to support not only these organizations that I've mentioned, but many, many others, including school districts and a variety of nonprofits in our community. So I have to plug the Community Foundation. Also, I do want to mention I got an opportunity to attend both cultural harvest fairs, the BIPOC Farmers Market that were held in Main Street Park a couple of Sundays, and had some beautiful flowers and some great cake in a cup, and got some duck eggs this week. I'm pretty excited about that because they're quite delicious. So really a good start, and hearing that great things that they hope to do in our community. So those were my activities, and that brings us to reports of boards and commissions. I was not able to attend the MINEP meeting last week. We have gone to an every other month meeting, so those reports are pretty infrequent. And I'll get the minutes from that and share them when they are available. But the other thing I do want to mention, we have 2 openings on our budget committee. We have lost another member. Anna Kierman, who's the Vice President of Finance and Administration at the university, passed away over the weekend, sadly. And so we have 2 openings. I want to get those filled before the holiday rush starts, so we'll have folks in place. So I'd like to recruit, get people who are interested. We've done a great job of getting some new folks in that budget process, and get those applications in by the 25th, Friday, the 25th of October. So if you know of folks that would be a good new voice in the budget process and are interested in getting to know more about the community, that's a great way. And those applications, of course, are available on the website or by contacting Phyllis. Other board and commission reports, Councilor Oberst.
I have 2. First, Transportation Commission met. We had some old business. The speed study we requested for the south part of Highway 99W appears to be underway or conceivably by now even done. And we'll hear what ODOT thinks of our plans for significantly shifting the reduced speed limit south and adding a speed feedback sign somewhere in the neighborhood of Quinn Street. We are also looking for a speed feedback sign on Falls City Highway. Russ met with somebody from ODOT. We haven't gotten a final answer from them on that one yet. We said yay to a four-way stop at Monmouth and Stadium. That's in and operating. And on campus, we've had the ongoing project of replacing steam lines, and they had hoped to have Monmouth Avenue rather, reopened. It's not, but middle of October-ish is the word we got. Depends on how the concrete work goes and when the contractor can get in with asphalt and the rain and stuff like that, but it's on its way. On some new items, the TSP update, we're closing in on the final document. It's, if you want to have a look at it, monmouthtsp.com, and it would be memorandum number 4 in the document library, and you can see where we are on that. If you haven't been down East Church Street lately between the highway and Monmouth Elementary, you ought to check it out. It's a mess. And that's because of the Safe Routes School grant. Every morning about 7 o'clock, I am treated to the chorus of dump trucks and so on as they slowly but surely tear up the old on the south side of the street and are replacing it. Once that's all in and ready to go, they will attack the north side. And then it'll be up Sacred Lane to Jackson, down Jackson to Heffley, and Heffley all the way across to Madrona. And it will be a series of really nice sidewalks for the students going to MES. ODOT has announced the way Russ put it was they lost a lawsuit and they have serious work to do on ADA ramps across the state. And in fact, they have announced something like 50 in the Monmouth Independence community that have to be replaced. Sometime in 2025 or 2026 is the target. And whether they're going to do those all in one go or a few at a time, we'll see. They're kind of at a place where if something needs to be resurfaced, they have to do the ramps first, because that was part of the lawsuit. So even though we have some pieces of particularly Main Street that could stand some new pavement, we're probably going to wait on that just a little bit. And then finally, the chair, Linda Bersani, has been working on bike rodeos, and she has, and I want to say this was at MES, but I don't have a note on that. Bike safety has become a 2-week unit in the PE curriculum. So really pushing forward on that. The tree board met last Thursday, short a little bit here. We have a fall tree planting we're trying to nail down. There are some trees that need to go in near the skate park, and we have said we'd be glad to help with that. Kathleen Blevins called and would like to plant a tulip poplar in perhaps Madrona Park in honor of her mother, who we understand was Monmouth's first head librarian. And as Gordon mentioned, Virginia Gillis was looking to plant a tree for her son. And our next meeting is October 17th, online only. Next transportation meeting will be in early December. I'll get you the date. Don't have it handy at this point. And that's all.
Thank you very much. And just because I also have some folks who contacted me about memorial trees, that request needs to be made in writing to the city manager according to our city policy. So I thought that was interesting. Don't know if she knew that. She did. Councilor Selena Oliveros.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Arts and Culture Commission met on the 19th, and we welcomed 2 new members to the commission. We talked about the Tiny Art Show, so mark your calendars. It's from January 18th through January 25th, and it was so popular that we're going to offer, I believe, 100 more of the 5x5, and it's a partnership with the library, so it's a really nice collaboration. We also have Ash Creek Art Center, who will be doing a craft time and helping kids to finish their 5x5s. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a canvas. It can be anything that's 5x5. So mark your calendars for that. And then we also talked about our new handbook, and we're working on some applications because the plan is to have a rotating art show every 4 months here at the city hall. And so we would have an application process for that. We have the first one coming up, I believe, mid-October. And I am looking for the name of the artist. Yes, Ron Wolf. And he's a very talented, well-known artist that unfortunately is ill. And we're not sure how much longer he will be around, but he's extremely talented and well-known across the state and Pacific Northwest. And so he will be presenting, and we're hoping to have that art up in about mid-October. And that will be like the first one for the year. And then we talked about a lot of the artwork that's still in storage and, what to do about that, and some of the 3D art that is pretty cool. Do we want to order stands for that? We talked about how we contact artists about their artwork, and if they want to pick it up, if they want to have us keep it. So really we're having these conversations because storage is very limited, and we want to make sure that we respect the artists that have donated work and have done work for the city. And then we also talked about our budget, and so I know that a member is working with the city manager to ask questions about our budget. But we are going to continue a discussion of artwork, possibly in November. It's Indigenous artwork and it's very popular. I am Kalapuya. I don't know if you know that artwork on kind of those stands that can go in your yard. And so we're thinking of also having that possibly in kind of the November. But we still have to discuss that, and because we would like to possibly purchase that. And I believe that's everything. We meet again in a couple weeks.
Counselor Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a report from the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. So the Alliance Board met on September 19th. And actually, I think that's a typo. They have moved a number of their meetings a little bit later in the months. Normally, they meet earlier in the months. This month, the meeting will be on, I believe, October 24th. The reason these meeting dates this time of year move for the Homeless Alliance is that the Homeless Alliance has very tight deadlines to make decisions and give feedback to HUD for some of their funding deadlines. So as those deadlines are communicated out from the federal government, our meetings have to shift, and sometimes fairly rapidly. The engagement of the Alliance lately has been largely around what they call the NOFOs, a Notice of Funding Opportunity that does come down from the federal government that funds local projects. This is one of the primary roles of the Alliance, aside from just community building and collaboration, information sharing, but leveraging that collaboration and that data that's gathered to be able to bring federal dollars back to our communities here. So this is a packed time of year for them. I'm happy to report that our very own Councillor McKeel was appointed to the Review and Recommendation Committee of the Alliance. The Review and Recommendation Committee engages in a lot of the meat of the work around selecting which projects are ranked according to federal guidelines and benchmarks to be funded. And so really excited that we have local representation in that manner. So hats off to Carol for that undertaking. Other work that the Alliance is engaged in is, really centered around getting the PIT count, the point in time count, kicked off. For those of you who will recall, the point in time count is is federally mandated. It's a count of ideally all homeless individuals within our region. And the region covered is Polk and Marion counties. There's two kind of variations of the count, what they call an unsheltered count and a sheltered count. And the sheltered count, it's required to occur every year. The unsheltered count, the feds allow us to do that every other year, but at minimum it has to be done every other year. Historically, most communities attempt to complete that unsheltered count every year as well. However, as you may recall from last year, our community did not. This was due to some of the leadership changeover at the Alliance as the Alliance was migrating from contracted staff to permanent, permanent salaried staff. And so very excited. There's a lot of excitement from the community around this as well. The point in time count, in my view, does have some methodology gaps. I won't talk your ears off. Nothing is perfect, but in the view of not letting the good, challenge and prevent, or the perfect prevent the good, these numbers are considered to be, the best view of the homeless need in communities. Now, we didn't have these numbers last year, so we've largely been operating off of PSU estimates and numbers that are 2 years old. It's a big deal. You'll hear more about this, and I'll speak more about this as I come into these meetings representing the Alliance in the future. And there will be volunteer opportunities to engage in the count and go out into the community and make sure that, we are representing an accurate picture of our community need up to the state and the federal government. So more to come, but a lot of energy building this year in the goal and pursuit of having a successful count that does create a good picture of where we stand. That concludes my, and also the audit, much like cities, the Homeless Alliance is their own ORS 190 entity, and so they do receive a yearly audit. This was a clean audit report, and really happy to hear clean audit reports come back. It means that they're handling their funds in the way that is intended. So that now concludes my report on the Homeless Alliance. And as a reminder, this next meeting for the Alliance will not occur at its normally scheduled date. I believe the new date is October 24th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the COG building in Salem. Thank you.
Any others? Seeing none, I will turn it over to Rochelle Roden for our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. So this week, we started our annual financial audit. So the auditors are here, and Susie and her team are working with them daily. As you noticed, if you came in through the back door, the Polk County ballot box has been installed. This is going to take the place of the box at Roth's. And so we're going to make sure that we communicate that to the residents and get that out so people understand that they need to come here. I think there's one more box? There's usually one at the Warner University Center.
Yes,
and
at
then
the University
one in
Center and then
Independence. This one. So we'll make sure and communicate that so people know where to go. Church in the Park, their application has not been received yet. What we are hearing is that we should be receiving it next week. We received an application for development of a cottage cluster with 15 units, and that'll be located in the 200 block of Monmouth Avenue. So according to our building department, they think that this is going to go pretty quickly, that they should start working on it within the month. So So that's exciting. Riddle Road development is moving along and should kick off this month as well. Public Works and Monmouth Power and Light staff are now on their winter hours, just to let everyone know that they're working 7:30 to 4 p.m. Monmouth Avenue, which Councillor Oberst had referred to, that is actually scheduled to be paved on October 11th and 12th. So it could get changed due to weather, but that's the planned paving date. Monmouth Recreation Park, the pickleball courts are prepped, and with the warmer weather and the drier weather, hopefully that's going to get surfaced this week or next week. Trolley shelters. So we purchased 8 trolley stop shelters. 4 will go into Monmouth and 4 will go into Independence at regular Chariot stops. Those we were hoping to get in this fourth quarter, but it looks like we're not going to get them till January. So those will be going to Public Works. We'll be putting them together and then working with the Independence Public Works team to get those put out and installed. The library is going to be having an estate planning session on October 19th at 10:30 a.m. for anybody interested. And our CSO position, we had put that out, and that application process is now closed. We received 9 applications, and so we're going to go into that process. And we'll also be publicizing our Officer 15 position and getting that out in October so that we'll have someone starting hopefully in January. Also, just to let you know, the looping. So we need to have looping done in this room as well as at the front desk and at the court counter. And so we've been working to get that process going. So hopefully that's going to be installed relatively soon within the next month. And that'll help with the hearing issues that we have in this room, as well as when folks with hearing aids come to the front desks. And that's all I have.
Lots of good activity. That brings us to council comments and announcements. Councillor Carey.
Actually, I was going to ask, I'll roll them both. A couple questions for you, Rochelle. Once the Church in the Park application is presented, what's the flow of that?
That is something that has to be determined, but I believe the council wants to provide a public hearing for the residents. And so it'll come to council first, and Suzanne will present that in regards to the process of what that's going to be. So that's the first step. It'll come before council.
I think there may be a review to determine completeness
Right.
before it gets to
sorry.
hearing. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think that's, I've talked to Suzanne about that. Yeah, they'll look at it just like a land use application. It's not a land use application, but they'll look at it to make sure they've responded to the statutory criteria. And then when they've determined that, I think the process would be hearing in front of the council.
Right, I thought there would probably be, the staff would take a shot at it first.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the way that flow went. And then we have committed to the public process and look forward to that when that occurs. Just a note, and as we add shelters, we're getting sort of people moving into shelters for an extended period of time. And, I'm not making a judgment one way or the other, just an observation that, sleeping for a fair amount of the time, and which we just need to be cognizant of if we're not, I guess. And if there are complaints that come forward with riders, we need to be able to, in my mind, respond to how we're going to deal with
You're
that.
speaking of bus shelters, right?
Yes.
Okay, you shifted from homeless shelter to bus shelter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to make sure we were clear.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was
Okay.
talking about the,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. No, I.
Right, the trolley shelters.
Thank
and-
you.
Yes. We would hope that they're moving into the regular
Well,
shelters.
yes,
That
that's
would
what
be
we're trying to
excellent.
figure out.
Yeah, okay, so I guess that does it. And then council comment, I'll just swing into that. And it struck me today as I was going through our packet, again, we codified, in effect, some decisions we'd already made relative to rate increases. And so I went back and looked at some of our rate increases from a year ago. And in my mind, they were all necessary. They were responding to genuine needs. But as we get into the budget cycle next time, we've added a new one we have to be careful how far we go with this and at what pace we go with rate increases. And I think we're all aware of that. I just would hope that we would all have that diligence when we get into the budget cycle to make sure we determine, wants versus needs. Rarely do we get into that because we need a lot, but how we prioritize this. Again, I'm just urging that we look ahead and be cautious when we get there.
Yeah, thank you. And a couple things just about the process of reviewing that transitional housing application. We have, even though it's not a land use, I think there is also a process. We have input from our various departments. So just as we do when any application does come before community development, police have a review process. Public Works has a review process. Our fire department has input and say in that process, right? So we get all of those people, and frankly, they've all been looking at this for the last year. They've been through multiple tours with the current owner, with the agency. So that will all be a part of it, just as we see those things when we have any other kind of land or zoning requests. So even though it's not part of the land use process by law, we will have all of that feedback and input as well. Yes, Lane.
Yeah, and maybe this would be time to say that I've asked Justin Thorpe to oversee the process. There is the review of a decision under the bill is not through LUBA, it goes to circuit court. And so it takes on an aspect of litigation if there's an appeal, with the possibility of attorney fees awarded for or against the prevailing party. Given that Justin is a litigator, I'm not a litigator, I wanted to have him kind of build this from the ground up so that he's most informed about it, has the full opportunity to help shape it, so that if it is appealed, then he's in the best position to take that appeal on up to circuit court. So he'll be handling the shelter application process.
Great, thank you for that. All right, and any other council comments or announcements? Councilor McKeel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to let people know that because this is Hispanic Latino Heritage Month, we have the kids' art going up. I think we have about 11, 12 classrooms already up at the ice cream shop and Prisms Gallery and Monmouth Fitness and Windermere. I could go on and on, but I really want to thank all of the local businesses that were gracious enough to allow the kids' art to go up. And a thank you to the Power and Light for helping get the signs up, or the flags up, so we can have a good celebration Hispanic Latino Heritage Month here in Monmouth.
Councilor Obers.
So you mentioned Bay House earlier, when I came to understand that one of the owners was a woman 6'2". I had to have a conversation, and was absolutely charmed. They're just wonderful. I'm looking forward to having these folks, and they understand very much the impact that this is going to have on our community in a positive way, and the positive attention that will bring to our economic development efforts, and so on and so forth. At one point, she put me on the phone with her husband because apparently, like me, he's 6'8". So I let him know that we would be literally seeing eye to eye once they get here, and I'm just really looking forward to it. I happen to have a trip to the coast coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're going to stop in for dinner and during their last week before they close out there, and just really looking forward to having Bay House come to town.
Councilor Belts.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to make sure I invited all adventurers to 2 events that are happening this weekend. This Friday, we have Monmouth History and Mystery, 7 o'clock here at Main Street Park. The write-up is wonderful. It talks about with eloquence and passion, local storytellers will weave their stories, inviting you to step back in time and witness firsthand the fascinating events that have shaped our beloved city. These are true stories. They've been written by any number of local historians and WU students. Several of us, I think, will be participating as storytellers. That is on Friday night. Saturday night at 7 o'clock in the City of Independence is the Ghost Walk. A similar idea. There will be several stations. You start at the fountain, pick up a map, go from location to location, listen to ghost stories that may or may not be true. Both events are fantastic ways to bring people to our communities. The Ghost Walk has brought into Independence upwards of 2,000 people in previous years. We've had hundreds of people here in Monmouth, so please plan on doing both events. They're different, but both have a very similar feel. They're also both free and at 7 o'clock Friday night, Saturday night. Thank you.
Free, but donations are welcome, I believe is how it's worded. So yeah, looking forward to that. All right, Councillor McKee.
I would like to read the land acknowledgement, please. We would like to acknowledge that Indigenous tribes and bands have been on the lands here and throughout Oregon since time immemorial. It is not lost on us that the Willamette Treaty forcibly removed these peoples from their homelands in 1855 to 1856, the year that the city of Monmouth was founded. We recognize the pre-existing and continued sovereignty of the federally recognized tribes that are a vibrant part of this region today. The Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians, and thank them for sharing their perspective on how we might care for one another and the land so it can take care of us. We commit to engaging in a respectful and successful partnership as stewards of these lands.
And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Lopez. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Gee, I see no nays on that. We are adjourned.